All right, let's talk sellers. Let's talk listings. How do we get more listings? So one of the main ways that we're going to attract our possible sellers is to take a step back and think back to a couple of videos ago where we did a foreclosures and investors campaign. And you're going to have to remember that one because that's a very valuable sellers campaign. Even though you're trying to sell people on the idea of buying foreclosed properties or buying investment properties, those folks probably own property as well. And at some point, they're going to need to sell and buy new property. Okay? So one of the targeting aspects that I don't want you to forget, regardless of what it is that you're sending out there as a broadcast message, is to not exclude that foreclosure investor demographic when you're targeting sellers, because they could be just as relevant to finding you using you as a listing agent as they are as using you as a buyer's agent in a transaction. Okay. The other one was the move up buyer that we just talked about. They're obviously selling a property to buy a new one, so you're targeting sellers. I don't believe that finding sellers needs to be explained because we've done that already. Okay. You should know by now how exactly to target any specific client that you're looking for. The problem with sellers is weeding them out. How do we get them to interact with us? Okay. The main way that when Facebook really started going was, what's my home worth? Okay. But now Zillow, Trulia, and Realtor.com, they really dominate that landscape. So you're really going against the grain there, trying to compete with some giants in the industry for home valuations, right? Especially when everybody thinks that Zillow is the most accurate source for property value information. So how do you differentiate yourself? You could still do the what's my home worth, but come at it in a different way. Perhaps you can start localizing yourself to the neighborhood and take, say, 10 listings that just sold in the last 30 to 40 days, whatever your area requires, okay? And just have a snapshot of each of the front of each house, right, which you can get from Zillow or Trulia. You can save those images and then kind of create like a little motion picture, like 40 seconds long, or even less. It could be like 15 or 20 seconds long, and you're just gonna have the sale price of each of those houses, one after the other, in a specific area. Okay, and you're gonna say, at the end, what's your home worth? That is a way more attractive way to get somebody to request a home valuation than just a standard Facebook ad. Okay. And what I would do in that particular case is come down here and you're going to select a video, and from there you're going to just upload that video and put it in, right? And your marketing copy is going to be just like that. What's your home worth? Or did you see what sold in your area? Okay. And you can make this top portion, I'm using the downsizing here, but you can use this top portion to say, guess what sold in, and then just enter the zip code and have it very specific to that zip code. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to have you think about when you're doing your location is to not use a radius, especially for the sellers, because sellers are so neighborhood specific. And while you can actually use an address and do a radius around that address, it really limits your potential reach. So the more targeted that we can get with our sellers in terms of the amount of people that we're reaching, I think the better. That would be for the what's your home worth. Okay, and especially if you're going by location, it gets a little bit interesting with the potential reach. So you're going to have to keep it a little bit vague so that Facebook allows you to send the ad out. Because otherwise, if you just did, it's just for the sake of this, let me just show you. If you just did, a zip code, this is what you're going to get. It's not, there's not enough information to give you an accurate read. Okay, so you have to be a little bit vague there. The other thing that you can do, which I think hasn't been done yet, is provide a really solid seller's guide. So if you have any kind of connections with a title company, and all of these different real estate companies have all of these different pre-published guides on how to do what, where, why, and how. You could easily just take that guide and offer it on your Facebook on your Facebook ad as a lead magnet, right? So the ultimate guide to downsizing, the ultimate seller's guide to Minnesota, right? You can literally do anything you want here and offer that as a lead magnet. Offer them that guide in exchange for their email address and the ability to send them that guide. Okay, and now you've acquired them as a potential seller lead because they're at least considering, selling, because they're wondering what the ultimate seller's guide is all about. Here's one that's a little bit outside the box, and you're gonna have to follow me on this one. And trust me, you would put together a kind of like a quick sheet of how to sell your house yourself, how to be a for sale by owner, basically. And the reason I'm suggesting that is because most everybody thinks they can sell their house themselves and they don't need a realtor. Okay, so if you put together a quick 2-page PDF on all of the things that you do to prepare a house for sale, and all of the things that now this particular person on the other end would have to do to effectively sell their house, you can kind of do two things at once. One, you can find out that they're interested in selling, right? Because they're going to try to sell it themselves. And two, you can basically instill some fear into them that this process is not as easy as they think it is, right? And that they're going to need a real professional to help them sell their house. Now, for every 10 people that might click, one of them might say, I can do this, and that's fine, right? You weren't going to work with them anyways. But it's the other people that didn't realize how much work you actually do on a daily basis to make sure that they get the most money for the sale of their home. That's the person that you want. And those are going to be your sounding boards moving forward if you can accurately and effectively convert them into leads, into customers, because they're the ones that think they can do it themselves. They couldn't. You did it for them, and now they're going to sing your praises. So the for sale by owner one usually catches people off guard, but it's one that I highly recommend. You'd be really surprised, especially in my area where there's, where property is crazy high, how many people think they can just sell it themselves, and then they decide not to because it's just too much work and they don't want to deal with it.